What is up, guys? Pastor Matheny here, and thank you for joining me today in my study. So you'll notice I have on my bicycle helmet this morning, and that's because I was thinking about Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 20, which I'm going to read to you now. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. Stand, therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and as shoes for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints, and also for me, that words may be given to me in opening my mouth boldly to proclaim the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that I may declare it boldly, as I ought to speak. So considering that made me think, like I said, about this bike helmet, which is why I put it on. A bike helmet's a nice kind of invention because it protects my skull. It protects my brain. And given that something bad happens, a car comes out in front of me, or I just fall off my bicycle or whatever I happen to be riding on, it protects my brain and keeps it inside of my skull. It keeps it hopefully from getting rattled around too much. But it only works if I actually put it on. I can have a bicycle helmet. I can leave it on the shelf, and then I can go ride a bicycle just as I normally would. But the helmet only helps if I put it on my head. And so we might say the same thing about the Word of God, as the Apostle Paul makes clear in this section here of Ephesians. He says, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. He acknowledges much in the same way, and he goes on, of course, to make analogies between various pieces of armor and protection, like a bicycle helmet, and the gifts that God gives. But he's encouraging his congregation in the very same way that the Word of God, which he calls the sword of the Spirit, is only helpful if you take it up. That is, if my Bible sits dusty on a shelf and says nothing to me and nothing to my life and the way that I live, my life may look on the surface just the same as everyone else's. I may cruise along smoothly through life without the Word of God and without His gifts, and everything may look just fine in a normal time, and maybe it will be. But as the apostle says, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. But when something bad comes my way, when temptation comes my way, how can I possibly resist those temptations of the devil unless I have already put on the armor of God, unless I've already taken up his gifts, that they can influence my life, they can lead me and guide me, they can protect me in the day of trouble. If I haven't first put them on, then they do me no good sitting over on a shelf. So I wanted to share this with you today, just in the same spirit as St. Paul was initially preaching this to the Ephesians. Understand that your God has given you miraculous gifts, that he's given his word to protect you, that he's given you his peace to guard you, that he's given you confidence in the gospel to make you ready. But know that these gifts need to be put on, need to be taken up, need to be owned and honed and cared for and used, so that you may be prepared and so that you may be protected to live life every single day as one of God's beloved children, and even as the apostle makes clear in this passage, as his soldier ready to do battle on behalf of his kingdom. So I hope this little meditation has been beneficial for you today, and I hope to see you all again soon. Peace.